Good evening, everybody. So we are going to start, and maybe some people will join us during the first panel. We are very happy to welcome you to the 6th edition of Climate Connect. We have already received a lot of people at Climate Connect with voices that make a difference. But what is different today is that we will be tuned to young voices, voices that are aware, active, activist, with a real sense of the environment, of our surrounding, of a kind of secret bonds that they have to the surrounding, with an awareness that is particular to every speaker. They belong to different walks of life and yet share the same world. Ahmed Magdy does not need to be introduced, but maybe we need to recap the many facets of his involvement and dedication to the diverse works he does. Of course, he is a successful actor and a filmmaker. He is also the CEO of Garage Art Production, a film production company focused on supporting independent directors and creating social relevant films. He is the current Goodwill Ambassador for the European Union, and he is one of the founders of Fayoum International Film Festival for Environmental and Contemporary Arts. It is this particular profile that makes him such a significant and relevant speaker to Climate Connect. Please welcome Ahmed Magdy in conversation with Salem.
So thank you for everybody who made it today. I hope more people will come, and I wanted to congratulate and thanks Ahmed for coming today. Thank you very much. Magdy is not only a fantastic actor, but he's also a very beautiful human being when it comes to supporting environmental causes, when it comes into supporting people, when it comes into being passionate by what he does. So for us, it's a great pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm not that much of a good person when you know me personally. Thank you so much. It means a lot to be here. It's my first time. I've heard a lot about this place. I'm glad that I'm here as a speaker, and of course I'll also do my best to stay till the end to hear the other interesting speakers. And I'm glad that I'm seeing familiar faces, so thanks for my friends to be there. And I hope we achieve something tonight. And I would love to make this an open conversation, also to be able to talk together, to open some subjects. And I believe in this kind of initiatives, and I think we all have like a common ground and common beliefs, and we can all add things to each other.
I very much like the idea of an open conversation. Actually, maybe we can take advantage of the fact that we're not so many today to really open the conversation. So generally, we ask questions and then there is a Q&A. But I think that today, especially, if anyone wants to start speaking while we are already discussing, if somebody has a question, if somebody has a comment, you are more than welcome to do so. My first question to you, actually, it's about your relationship with nature. What is it? Like, I think you are a nature lover, you have been vegan for many years, and I don't know if you're still or not, but you have always been very strong when it comes to nature and a relationship to nature. So I wanted you, first of all, to kind of describe it, and to tell me if there is maybe a childhood experience that really immersed you into nature.
Thank you so much. I've never been asked this question before, and these kind of questions make me think and makes me go back to where did it all start? So asking myself this question actually brings up some memories and some moments in my childhood. I think if I can start to point out for some memories, I would generally talk about where I was born. I was born in Maniel, which is a middle-class neighborhood. I was surrounded by the Nile all the time. I've always been connected to the Nile. I've always loved it and was impressed by it.
Maniel is an island on the Nile.
Yeah, it's an island. You know, there's a few islands in Cairo as neighborhoods. And my school was in Zamalek, so crossing all the time the Nile every day, back and forth. was something very important to me, and taking walks around the Corniche every weekend with my friends, and going, actually jumping into the Nile as a stunt.
You were swimming into the Nile as a kid?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a stunt too. I've never had the courage to jump off the bridge.
Yeah.
Some friends, I still want to do that. Some friends used to do that, but for me it was very scary. But I used to at least jump off boats or the shore, stuff like that. And
do you still swim in the Nile?
Last time, I think, was maybe in Aswan. But before that, when I was playing also rowing, I played rowing for 3 years. Also, that connect me a lot with the Nile. And I've seen the Nile in its forms and all its moods. I remember some magical moments where the Nile was still. I remember when my boat flipped and I was about to die because the Nile was so angry, stuff like that. I remember.
Can you tell us a little bit more about when you were about to die?
I wanted to jump off. Rowing is a very it's a very tricky technical sport because the boat is very thin, and you balance yourself only with what do you call these? Oars? Oars?
Yes.
Oars. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me. My English is not that good. I had to teach myself. So balancing yourself is very tricky. It's easier when you are 2 or 4 or 8. But I've always loved the skiff, which is a single. So there was days when you go a little bit far, with the team, and you definitely gonna flip at some point in your career, a couple of times. And because we had only sheep boats. So, the rowing, you have to push. You have a moving small chair. You call it chair?
Okay.
It's a very small one. So you have to tighten up the shoes and you just keep pushing, keep pushing. So, of course, these shoes have to be like Choc, like good chicken. But of course, we had beta. So you have to, tighten it up very well. So that was very scary. I remember when I flipped that last time. That was ages ago. I was 18 or 19. I wasn't able to flip back, and for the first time, I said the word that I've always heard in cinema, and I didn't believe anyone could really say it in real life. الحقونا! So I think at the last second, I saw the boat of my coach coming, running, and I grabbed it at the last second, stuff like that. That was very traumatizing.
I'm sure it is. But the night for you, it's more a source of reflection. It's more a source of creation because also you're a creator, you're an artist. You also reflect a lot. So what's your relationship to nature? Like, what does it trigger into you? Like when you walk towards the Nile?
Yeah. I've always had a thing for history. I always think, and I always also advise artists or young artists or even my friends, just studying history is enough for you to know everything about everything. And studying history is the umbrella of all the other sciences, I guess. So I've always been interested in that and the history of the Nile and old Egypt and the pharaohs and stuff like that, and dealing with the Nile as a god was very interesting since I was young, and also because I've been connected and still connected to my cousins in a small village in Mansoura. My father's cousins are still living there, so we go there at least twice a year, and if there's a wedding or a funeral. So that also connected me a lot, and I have a lot of memory in my childhood in the agriculture. I've tried to learn. Of course, for them, I'm too soft. But I have a lot of memories with nature and that. And also yoga connected me a lot with nature. I remember in 2017, I was in a teacher training course in an ashram there with my guru. And I was barefoot for 5 months, and I loved that. So yeah, I think that's...
Actually, when you speak about history and the Nile, it makes me think that during pharaonic times, in order to be able to access paradise, you were being asked the question, did you harm the Nile? Yes or not? And if your response was no, you could access paradise.
Absolutely. I think there is at least 7 things that you have to, 7 filters. I never disinfected the Nile. لوثت ماء النهر. I've never changed the path of the Nile. I've never stopped the Nile. And a lot of other things. I forgot.
I remember, and our friend from Greenish are here too, and we're going to speak about cleaning the Nile with Youssef afterwards. But actually, Magdy was one of the first person to come and clean the Nile back then. Yeah, with Shadi, you remember?
Yes, I remember. It was a nice experience too.
So let's go a little bit into cinema and the role of cinema. Afterwards, we're going to open up on the film festival. But before that, I wanted to ask you: do you think that cinema can shape environmental awareness? Like, do you think that there is a link between cinema and not as a festival, but as a movie? Have you ever played in a movie that is kind of ecological friendly or promoting the nature? Or do you see any linkage? And my question is specifically in Egypt, because last edition we had Hind Sabri. She was telling us that Egyptian cinema is not ready to have environmental movies. And I wanted to know your takes about it.
I think it's very important to distinct when you talk about environmental issues now, is different than, for example, in the 50s or 60s. For example, we are planning in Fayoum Film Festival as an environmental festival to choose some of the old films in the 50s and 60s that have tackled some environmental issues, like, for example, film El Khouf, The Fear, with this very famous scene where Shadia is opening El Hawis. What is El Hawis in English? No? Hawis? No, it's a very hard one. It's a hard one? You know what El Hawis is? It's like when you're... yeah, let's ask someone. So for... Yeah. Sorry, شيء من الخوف. Yeah, there is something about it. It's called
something about fear.
Something about fear, or yeah, sorry, yeah, something about fear. The canal, yeah, yes, something like that. It's not specifically canal.
Lock.
Yeah, it's a lock. Yeah, it's like when it's like when you have 2 levels of water. Okay. So anyway, these kind of this is an environmental issue.
In French, it's écluse. I don't know.
L'écluse.
L'écluse.
So we have it in 3 languages.
L'écluse. I love that. L'écluse. So I think that's an environmental film, but back then they wouldn't consider it as environmental. You know what I mean? So now when we talk about environmental issues or environmental film, it's the artist lose the artistic approach. And it's mostly mental approach to a certain idea or a certain cause, and that's a problem. And a lot of artists have fallen into this trap of to make a film or art based on an idea or a concept, and this is making the artist losing his connection to the medium and to himself, to express himself, not to express his ideas. So I think it is important to have these type of films.
Of course.
Absolutely. I think all types of films are, please.
I just want to ask a maybe a broader question. Do you think movies actually change people's behavior? And or it's the other way around, movies are picking up from people's behavior and portraying them in a magnified, dramatic way. But can you think of any movie that actually changed how people think or what people do?
I think all movies does that, but in different levels. and positively or negatively, and that's an organic thing. It's like karma. You know, some action that you do, it might look positive in the beginning, but actually it have a negative impact later, or a negative impact in the beginning and then it have a positive impact later. So this communication and this interaction between the artist and the audience through this medium is always an organic, what do you call it, interaction. So all the films that we've watched affected us, on different levels, I guess.
I think it's also about having the people being emotionally connected, maybe to the movie they watch.
Yes.
How can you trigger emotions?
How can you trigger emotions?
Yes, to be... and my second question is completely unrelated. Actually, I went to the cinema yesterday. It was a bit crazy movie about a CEO that is suspected to be an alien with activists taking them and so on. The movie was really amazing, but once the light opened, the people completely trashed and littered the cinema room, as if it was completely normal. It was in Al-Maza.
What, sorry?
They just throw the popcorn, the garbage all over. No, they didn't hate it. This was their normal reactions. Okay. This is how, and I was very surprised. And I thought that maybe this could be something you guys do with Garage, or I know what, to have a small ads at the beginning of each movie telling to people maybe not to throw the trash on the floor. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is, I don't know why I came to this idea, but...
I see. I was just talking with Ayman, graphic designer here, Ayman. He was also telling me that he was at Zawiya watching a film, and he was really like angry because people were talking during the film and stuff, and this is Zawiya, it's a respected place. And I told him, man, I think when I was 12 or 13,
I skipped school.
Yeah, skip school and run to downtown, from Zamalek to downtown with my friends, being naughty. And we used to go to cinemas in downtown and watching these shitty Hollywood films, like Miss Congeniality, like something like that. So, and it was all about fun. It was not about movies. So, this culturally, you see it in the Mediterranean countries and countries like us, we are here to have fun, and there's a certain way of rebellions on these type of movie stuff. So we used to like make jokes and have fun and laugh and like destroy a few things, of course. But that was a part of this. Of course, I don't agree, but it's a reflection. I mean, this is not the problem. This is a reflection of something deeper. This is what I mean. So if you will tackle this specific thing, I think you will find yourself tapping into a deeper thing that needs to be talked about.
Absolutely. Many aspects of climate change and environment is in your work. Water, heat, migration. Like, what's your main? And I think with the European Union, right? You're a goodwill ambassador for the water. I think you have a special sympathy for water. You were telling that you were rowing and so on. Can you tell us a little bit about the state of water and why is it a cause that you really want to defend?
Well, I hope I can. I'm not really good with numbers and information. I'm trying to study more. I've been with them for 2 years now. And actually part of the program of the new EU ambassador in Egypt is to teach us. And I made this very clear last month when we were like a new inauguration for us, like new ambassadors. I asked very directly that we need to be educated more, because all the information that I'm getting is just from it's my single effort. Yeah. So, but overall, there are two paths that we are working on with the EU now. So there is the governmental path, because EU is working with the government in a lot of projects. Mm-hmm. So part of our job is to show this project and to clarify more about these kind of initiatives and specific projects. And the other thing is to find our own experience, how to express this and connect it to our experience in our life, and then our social media and our audience. So this is basically what we're trying to do.
Speaking about your own experience and how to connect things, I think one of the reasons, there is many reasons we wanted you to have today with us, but one of the reasons is definitely Fayoum International Film Festival. I'm sure that very few people are aware, or maybe a lot of people are aware about this festival, but it's a very unique festival in Egypt. My first question to you is, what inspired you to create Fayoum International Film Festival? Why?
So, Sayyid Abdel Khaliq, he's the founder of Masar Association. They've already been founding and working on Aswan Film Festival, Women Film Festival. It's been there for 11 or 12 years now. I think the 12th is coming, 12th edition. So it's been very successful, and I've loved this festival, and I've worked with them, and I screened my first feature there, and I've been I've worked with them a lot, and what I like the most about them and Masar Association is that they work during the year in the city of Aswan, and they were able to find funds through وزارة التضامن.
Social solidarity.
Sorry?
Social solidarity.
Ministry of Solidarity. Social solidarity. To actually build an office with equipments for the filmmakers in Aswan, especially the female filmmakers, to work during the year and to make shorts. So they did a lot of work with that.
It's interesting,
and, yeah, I love that. So then when Sayyid saw that I'm interested, and I have this bureaucratic side of me that nobody knows, it's not shown. Like I know how things work. So he told me, let's do the same but on a different scale in Fayoum. It's a different city.
But why Fayoum? Why not Cairo, right?
Exactly.
I mean, your life would have been much easier in Cairo, no?
Yeah, absolutely.
You could have done it on the Nile. You love the Nile so much, right? So why?
There is a few festivals in Cairo, but Fayoum, because it's oh, this is awesome. Okay. Fayoum is a very important. It's one of the most important cities or governorate in Egypt, because so many things. First of all, fundamentalism and التطرف, which is religious extremists. They've been this governorate was their main hub. I don't know if you know the history. In the 90s, there was actually an imara, it was something big, and also in the revolution 2011 and 2 or 3 years after that, it was a very, very scary place, and of course they have a lot of different ecosystems. You can see agriculture, you can see fishing and hunting and all the and pottery, of course.
It's a protected area as well.
Protected area, a lot of protected areas.
You have everything in Fayoum. You have the desert, you have the lake, you have the artisanship, right?
It's incredible.
But I just want to assess who went to Fayoum here in the audience. Raise a hand. All right. Fantastic. Now, who knew about the Fayoum Film Festival? Very few people.
We have Layla here. Layla is actually the coordinator of the festival.
So for everybody, we're going to speak a bit more about the film festival, but if anyone wants to go and join the festival, maybe you can connect with Layla afterwards.
Yeah.
Really? I think it's a fantastic...
Layla is doing all the hard work.
Yeah?
I just go, not try to finish things, but she do all the hard work.
But so we are in a region where very few movies about environment are being produced,
Absolutely.
right? We don't have our Leonardo DiCaprio here that really champions climate and things like that. So how can you create this type of festival and connect at the same time environment, community, and movies? What's the secret formula in order to have everything connected under one roof?
Well, the secret is inclusiveness and to find people who believe and to make friends with associations, with foundations, with private companies, private entities, and to include all the ministries as much as possible.
But on the environment side of things, environmentally,
environmentally, yes.
Yes, environmental.
We are working on projects. Like, for example, every entity can work with us, or can fund, or can support, or in-kind support some of our projects. So we have here also, I think, if we go to the presentation, there's a page where the initiatives and the projects that's happening actually mostly during, like, some of it are happening during the year. This Hawara platform, and the first one, the Qarun platform. So we try to include people in these projects and initiatives within the festival, so we can work on a larger scale on the Fayoum. So we won't be only like in one spot screening everything. So we're actually screening and working on 5 places, different places, 2 hotels, and of course the heart of the festival is the university, and they were very supportive of the idea and everything. So we have workshops there, film and environmental workshops, and we have Abla Institute in Tunis village, so they're also a big part of it. Sorry? And Komedika.
The ecology Komedika,
Yes.
right?
And the 2 hotels are Auberge and Venice.
A question for, I think...
For Laila.
For Laila. So do you provide opportunities for the youth in Fayoum to learn cinema afterwards? I'm asking this question because we also have the director of the show workshop, right? So it's Climate Connect, so I don't connect to people, right? So what are the kind of opportunities? If you're young from Fayoum, I guess it's not easy for you to become a director. I think everything is very Cairo-based.
So you don't get as much access to the especially on the... Oh, thank you. One of our biggest and strongest arms is the Qarun platform that Magdy just introduced. It's filmmaking workshops for the students in the universities where they don't actually have a media department أصلاً كلية in college يعني, so they have no background in that. We teach them everything from the start of ideation to the script writing and the production and the montage also, and then we screen their films, and so this is one of our biggest arms يعني, and the strongest arms, and where we actually focus on the developmental side as well, touching and reaching the youth and the community itself, and maybe opening up their minds a bit, and giving them chances as well and skills. They learn so much skills, but they can have their own job opportunities from home. This is also...
For example, when we first introduced the idea to the university, there was a cinema club with like 4 people or 5 people, and now there's I think around 20 or 40 members.
That's amazing.
They're all learning and making films, and we actually screened six shorts last year.
How can we support more your work and the youth, specifically the youth there? Because I understand how complicated it is to become a filmmaker. Once again, really, especially if you're outside of Cairo, like in what way? And I think it's really fantastic that you choose to make this festival in Fayoum. I think it's very courageous. I think it would have been so much easier to do it in Cairo, but you decided to go for the governorate. So really, how can we support you if some people here are interested, organization, people individually?
So much. Yeah, I think what we need is the support of people and initiatives and entities who believe in the same cause and would love to support in any way possible. And we approach people, and actually some people approach us too, would like to know more about what you're doing. So we introduce this presentation so we can share it with everyone actually. And we also yeah, absolutely. This is very important.
To attend, yes, I think that's the first step, right? But Brigitte, take the mic, please go ahead, ask the question.
It's the opening of the festival. The opening ceremony will be on the 25th of this month,
okay,
till the 30th.
30th,
so, yeah, and we have a lot of nice things to do. Like, we're not just in one room screening films. We'll be outdoor. We have X-Wagons. They are with us doing outdoor screening, and it's going to be fun, hopefully.
I'm sure it's going to be fun, really fun.
And we have the big bird watching migration event as well.
Bird watching, yeah?
أيوة. عشان the migration exactly يعني one of the biggest events فيوم is known for أصلا, but it's been on a مش عارفة how many year hiatus يعني so long and they haven't been marketing for it and stuff. This year actually we'll be going to Kom الدكة. They have this huge platform كده for bird watching and a fish farm وكده. فwe'll inaugurate it إن شاء الله.
And bring your flasks.
Bring your flasks. كده كده.
If you had to give one message to Fayoum, not to Egypt, but one message from Fayoum to the world, what would it be, right?
Absolutely. This is the city where it's the best place to start these kind of initiatives. This is the best city to make one of. This is the first of its kind, an environmental film festival that we are interested in films from both ends, films that talks and speaks about environmental and climate issues, but also films that are made with responsibility. And this part, nobody knows about it, and nobody is actually working on it very seriously. And we have a plan. In the next, hopefully, couple years only, we come up with a manifesto that when you see a film, that you see a stamp like this film, no animal was harmed, for example. We are really working on that, on how to teach people and how actually to learn.
Is it about less carbon emissions for production?
Exactly.
You know the census, Centre National Cinématographique Français, and a lot of persons in France are working on that actually. So I think it would be very interesting to connect.
See, this is how you can help.
Yeah, no, really, it will be very interesting to create an Egyptian model or model for the Arab world.
I think Eco Egypt is helping us to actually teaching us and helping us to know how to collect this data and to monitor ourselves because the first edition was far from what we wish to be. So hopefully the second edition would be.
So the idea is to make a manifesto. What's exactly the purpose of the manifesto? Because I think even if we are not a lot of people today, but there is a lot of interesting people in the room, right? From D1 Bookstore, who has the capacity of publishing, to Greenish, who has the capacity of writing any type of things, from Climate Connect, whose purpose is to connect people. We really have a lot of people, and I think we can really support, and I think this is what we should do, really support to have this manifesto out, because at the end of the day, it's just the use of some brains and
it have also to, you have to convince production companies, and maybe later on distributors. But it should start with the initiative of filmmakers, for example, or a few production companies that I want to learn how to make my company and the making of my film, which is a very expensive non-environmental industry, to make it at least just a little bit less.
It's a very carbon intensive. Just look at the lunch, right? The number of plastic bags, it's horrific, right? So I think this is very interesting. I think this is something also that should be taught through workshops, taught in schools, taught everywhere on how to.
In film festivals too.
In film festivals as well, right? Look, you really have all of our support. If you need anything for this manifesto, we would be really happy to support. A more personal question about hope. You see, you are very hopeful to make green movies in Egypt, to have a Fayoum festival. What gives you hope as a human being? Like, what's deep inside of you that keeps you believing that you can change things?
I think it's my belief in the power of inspiration, and a lot of inspiring films that changed me and transformed a lot within me, and I think I'm a little bit of a better person because of the power of inspiration through art, and I think I'm a better person because of that. So my goal is to be part of it for anyone through my art and through what I do.
Thank you very much. So I really wants people now to ask questions, because this is really the game. And I would say there is two parts of the question. You can ask questions directly to Ahmed Magdy on any related subject, of course, related to the environment. And the second thing is that if anyone has any thoughts or inspiration about the Fayoum International Film Festival, to please share with us what could be your show, your thoughts, your inspiration, or anything. So do we have a first question from somebody? Yes, the courageous lady.
How did you know?
You're the only one who asked.
No, I wanted you to go back to something you started. First of all, thank you very much for being here and for what you said so far. I felt it was from the heart. And my question to you is to go back to something you were just about to tell us, and I think there was some interruption, and it is about the relation between cinema and the environment. And you were saying that the problem is a lot of maybe filmmakers go into it with the head. And I guess you meant that you need to have passion. If you could just elaborate a little more and say what you had to say.
I don't remember where did I stop, but I think if I elaborate on this point...
You just said, you know, a lot of filmmakers go into it with their head, but, and then we didn't hear. Because you got interrupted. I mean, there was an interruption.
What is the most important thing about what we're doing as artists is to express ourselves and our experiences, not to express our ideas and philosophies. This is what I mean. And this is what we fall into, this trap. I was a jury in a film festival in Oman, a very short film festival. It was very nice. And we watched, I think, 12 international short film. And the main problem, and we were talking about this in the jury, that this is a well-made film, but it's guided by the philosophy and the idea that the director wants to say. So there is something godly about how are you making يلوي دراع يعني. I don't know how to put it in English. So, forcing. He's forcing the characters, he's forcing the stories, he's forcing the cinematography, he's forcing all his organic and should be inspiring elements to make the film just for his idea, to make it clear and to make it strong. And I don't care about your ideas, because ideas change, but experience doesn't change. The effect of it changes. So this is for me the most important thing. So back to what you were saying about what is the most important thing. The baseline and the most important thing is the character. If you have an interesting character that is real, I'm saying this also because I'm writing my second feature now. It's been 2 years, so it's killing me. So focusing on the character and his story, and the story of the character, is more important than the idea behind it and the philosophy that I have as a filmmaker. That this is not important at all. I think this is what I've been trying to say, right? Or there's something else? Oh, so back to this. So I mean, if I'm making a film about an environmental issue, or I want to say something, an idea, or it will either be like, let's say, a documentary. Let's say if I'm making a documentary, that's okay. But then if I'm making a fiction, it should be different. Like, for example, شيء من الخوف, that film that I was telling you about, it have a very, very strong environmental issue in the film, but that was not the film, because they were not environmentally aware, and that was a good thing back then. He's talking about something very environmental, but without focusing on it. If he focused only about this, he would have lost. I think this is the tricky part.
Mr. Topgi, before you ask your question, I want to introduce you, because Ahmed Topgi also is a very important marketer here in Egypt. He represents Cannes Lions in Egypt, which is also production, but in the ads industry, and he has a very good brain, very smart brain when it comes to marketing. So,
thank you.
So I will take your question, but also I will ask for your input for the Fayoum International Film Festival, if you have any.
Yeah, I have two questions. You have a full audience in the room, and one of them I didn't know about the festival. What would you ask each one of us to do for your festival? If you have one wish that everyone can help you with, what would that be?
That's a very good question.
Can it make it two? Can we make it two things?
You can make it too.
Attend and help us spread the word.
Spread the word.
The second question, is there a social media page that we can share? I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Fayoum Environmental Film Festival.
Okay, we'll look
Please,
for that.
thank you so much.
We'll look for that. Okay. The second question is, it's probably clear what a writer or a director can do to affect a film, a motion picture, basically, not a documentary, to insert in it environmental thought or philosophy, or inspire, or even dictate, or even talk about the law of something. As you would talk, Masan, about orphans and policies, and you can integrate the story of the environment easily in a script or the way you direct. But as an actor, when you come in later, after a script has been written, after everything has been done, and you want to bring your own philosophy as an actor into a script that is not necessarily about the environment, how would you do that?
You mean as an environmentalist or as an artist?
As an artist.
As an artist, environment?
As an artist who, as you said, brings something from his own experience, not his own philosophy.
Yeah. I think there are 4 archetypes of an artist in general, and as an actor in specific. And I came up with this theory based on Carl Jung's philosophy on I think their students were something Michael Moore and someone else. They came up with this book. It's called The 4 Archetypes of Men, something like that. So I applied this concept on art and on artists. So based on that, I think an actor should either be, or he's usually be, one of the 4 archetypes. It's either you are a warrior, a magician, a king, a lover. So you can see actors.
So which one are you?
I think you can help me to know. Well, in psychology, it's when you talk about the complete men should have the 4 archetypes complete. But I think in art, it should not be, or it's not possible to complete the 4 archetypes. So you can find an actor who is more of a king. He's guiding things. And let's also know that there's a positive and a negative of each of them. So you can see like someone who's initiating projects. He's guiding things. Everybody is with him. And you can see an artist who's a warrior. He always have his sword. Yeah, Denzel Washington, for example. You can see the third one is the magician, the actor who likes to put a new face in each time. He likes to do makeup. He likes to change stuff like that. And the lover who wants to express himself and talk about his experience and to try to connect with the audience with the best way possible. So each one of them can have his own approach and philosophy and stamp, and it can be either environmental, feminist, or whatever he's working on. And I think a real artist should have it all within himself, and then the challenge of actually finding the best way possible to express himself through this medium. This is how I see it. So, what archetype do you think I am?
Number one? Number one?
I'm a king?
A warrior.
The warrior.
Lina knows more.
Lina, which one is he? The warrior? The magician? Fantastic.
Thank you. This is what I believe I am too.
Actually, before taking another question, because I really want to take the advantage of the public, I had a question to ask to Laura. Laura is our fashion designer and eco-fashion designer, right? How do you imagine a red carpet environmentally friendly? Like, how would people dress? Like, what would be your imagination as a fashion designer?
Fayoum, we have a green carpet.
Really? What is it made out of? Like, what's the recycled?
Oh, plastic? Okay, that's super cool. So that's a good way to start. Yeah. So we're going to talk a bit more about that later. And I think there are so many different ways of being more environmentally friendly when you're talking about fashion. Definitely upcycling is really, really good. But also, there are so many new biomaterials. Even if they don't last very long, they can last the time of a carpet, you know? So it would be really cool to have that. Yeah, you know, like it's like bio leather and things like that. I make some in my kitchen sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, stuff like that. So it would be really cool to have a whole, carpet full of that. That would be awesome.
Maybe recycled from cinema material.
That's when we have the upcycling in it, yeah. I mean, there's this brand that I really love that's called Upfuse. And they work with the Zabalin and everyone to upcycle plastic bags and everything. So I think that could be super cool as well. Yeah.
Here on the carpet. So I guess a green carpet is one where people wear the same thing in different ways. They reimagine the styling of a piece or a dress or a suit. So a green carpet, I guess, is just one that, as Laura was saying, again, like upcycling or recycling a look, or maybe like getting a look that's not necessarily produced for the carpet. Maybe it's thrifted, or it's something, you know, that's been seen before.
Do you mind if we use this in our invitation letter? And,
of course.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Amr you're going to go for the question, but she represents Choc, which is social entrepreneurship, right? So I think that movie can be social entrepreneurship as well, you know, when you do it with your community and stuff like that. You had a question, please go ahead.
Well, on the same note of the invitation, instead of it being in paper, can you make it edible?
We have no paper.
Okay.
We will not print anything. This is even our sponsors were asking them to print things, and then they will take it back, you know, stuff like that. We're doing our best, but it's unfortunately it's more expensive to buy some stuff than to rent it. So we have this problem too, and the festival that we don't have enough support yet for us to have foundation for the festival. For example, the seatings. So we wanted to have our seating like to have a store where we store our stuff and we always bring it back every year. And it's very, very expensive.
Can't you make it like mats or something?
Excuse me?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, make it like yoga mats.
We did that. In a way.
You don't have enough chairs?
For example, when we have workshops or stuff like that, you have to rent some stuff, you know. So hopefully, with time, we find a way to make all these things more sustainable, and we're also working with a few entities that is helping us with ideas, and also help us with stuff that like for example, like moving from all these spots, like we can use bicycles or electric small tuk-tuks, stuff like that. We're trying to find ways to make it as sustainable as possible. And last year, the first edition, we had a lot of plastic, a lot of water. People were using a lot. So this is killing us. We're trying to find a way, but it's also expensive to bring someone, to have like big tanks and stuff like that. So this is all challenges that we're facing. So it's just not making the film festival itself with the movies is the easy part. So like the environmental thing is like another world.
Well, once again, Magdy, you have the full support of Climate Connect. We are also kind of a think tank. We really have a fantastic network, and whatever you need, whatever problem, challenges you may have, maybe the next edition is really in 2 weeks, so it's a bit short, but now we had the pleasure to know each other. So whatever you need, thinking, designing, outreaching, networking, and so on,
that's awesome.
We are here to support, really.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Most of us did not know about this festival, but now we do, and we will follow it. The next panel. Youssef Hafiz is today a consultant. His involvement with climate change started with his impulse of cleaning the Nile. He was, with Salem, one of the first to transform this gesture into an action, and then into a mission. Clara Dayoub seems to be a character in a movie. If you have seen the reel, you realize she belongs to a cinematic world. You feel she is an actress in a scene in a chocolate shop. But no, Clara dreamt, designed, studied, and created Maison Choc, a place without boundaries where the kitchen, the shop, and the cafe are a connected space, and where smells, taste, and sharing are the key words. She will tell us about her journey, taking the people and the environment into the big equation of her work. Farida Essam is a climate activist, psychotherapist, and public health researcher with a focus on the intersection of health and climate. Her works with Greenish clubs and Greenish clubs is focused on strengthening health and literacy and environmental awareness and climate education. And finally, Laura Dayoub is a fashion designer that brings the acuity of her eye, her perception of fashion, her ethics, her relationship to her profession and surrounding, to the conversation that she started with Diwan and her public a year ago, and Climate Connect as well. I leave the floor to the four of them with Salem.
Thank you. So my first question is, like, you're very young. I think you studied in Cordon Bleu in Paris.
Yes.
So what's the story behind Maison Choc, and why did you start it?
So the story is very, very long. I've said it multiple times. I almost know it by heart for now. Basically, what happened is that I was studying to go into business. I was supposed to go and help out my dad. But I've always had a passion for cooking and baking. I've always been obsessed with it when I was young.
He's in the food and beverage business?
No, my father's not. No. I used to go. I get home after school every Thursday, and I used to get into the kitchen. Okay. And I used to just cook and bake, and my mom used to scream at me because I'd بلخبط الدنيا في المطبخ, basically. But I never thought of it as more of a hobby than what it was. And then when I went to university, I just couldn't stop cooking for my friends all the time. And that's where I felt like, actually, maybe this is what I'd like to do. So I went and I did a couple of internships, and that's where I found my love of chocolate. The first department they put me in when I was doing my internship was the chocolate department, and when they did that, but actually, so funny question. Funny thing is, when they did that, I was like, no.
Really?
I wanted to be in pastries.
Who are chocolate lovers in the room? Who love chocolate? Maybe she will be kind enough to make us taste some chocolate.
Please come anytime. We have free testers everywhere, so you don't even have to buy anything. You can just eat. You're full of chocolate.
You see, you didn't lose your night tonight. I have a question when it comes to chocolate, and I'm sure you have reflected a lot about it, about sourcing of the cocoa.
Yes.
How do you source it? How can you make sure that it's fair for the farmers and so on? Like, what's your approach to sourcing cacao?
So in terms of sourcing cacao, you usually, it depends what you do. So if you're going to buy a full container from that same bean, you're going to source directly from the farmer. In my case, I am still a very, very small company. I'm still a startup. We're doing everything from scratch, and I wanted multiple and different origins. So I had to go to someone that sources from them.
So you don't travel to the countries? You have like traders here with different sources?
The traders are not in Egypt. The traders are in Europe. There's no trader for cocoa beans in Egypt.
Okay.
So I had to
in Geneva, in Paris? Where are the traders?
In Holland.
In Holland?
Yes.
Okay.
So I had to go there. So first of all, I had to do a lot of research deciding which traders I was going to work with, what was their reputation working with the farmers. And then after that, I went and I did tastings. While I was there, I speak to the people. And then from that, I also asked to be in some kind of contact as well with the farmer to make sure that everything is fine. But funny enough, something that I've learned about the cacao industry is that, you know, this sticker sticker, the fair trade sticker, the eco-friendly sticker, all of that. That's supposed to be something that, as consumers, we look for that sticker to say that we're buying that chocolate that's like environmentally fair and fair to the farmer. Actually, it's not that much.
Why?
So basically, that sticker has to be bought. It goes through the farmer.
Actually, it's a very good point. You know, labels are a huge business.
Exactly.
One day we want to speak about carbon credits as well, but yeah, go ahead.
So actually, this whole situation, it turns out to be kind of like a huge business that's held by one specific company, and the farmer ends up having to spend so much money going through the procedures to be able to get that stickers, and at the end of the day, it cuts from his winnings. All that to be able to say that the chocolate is fair trade and sustainable, while he's doing everything right. So when it comes to asking the company that I'm working with if they're organic or fair trade, yes, sometimes out of luck, because I like the bean, there is the sticker on it, but this is not what makes me decide whether I will work with it or not.
I have a question, a bit unrelated, but related still, because it's about nature.
Yes,
and it's a very, I will look very dumb, but it's okay.
No, please ask.
How do you create chocolate? Like the cacao, where is it coming from? From a plant, from a tree? What's the process?
So actually, cacao comes from a tree called Theobroma cacao.
From a what?
It's a tree called Theobroma cacao.
Okay.
Funny enough, if we translate the name of this tree from Latin, it's called food of the gods.
Okay.
So that's a really cool one. Cacao it's this really long tree. It usually grows around the equator only, and it needs like heat and it needs humidity to be able to bring its plant out.
So we cannot grow them in Egypt because of the lack of humidity, I guess?
It doesn't work in Egypt for two reasons. First of all, the lack of humidity, and then the second one is that in winter here in Egypt it gets too cold for the tree, and the tree dies in winter. So eventually, even if it blooms fruits in the summer, it will die in the winter. So it's not worth it. But it has this really big pod, and what's beautiful about the tree is that the pods are from different colors. They go from green, yellow, they also purple, dark purple, green as well. And then this big pod is taken out, it's harvested, it's cut up, and then they break it open. And inside of it, there's this white pulp. It actually looks like ishta on the inside, and then the beans are actually inside that white pulp.
Okay, Karim, maybe do you mind putting us a cacao tree on the TV? Let's take purpose of the TVs, right? Yeah.
So of course.
Thank you very much. Did everybody knew about that, right? About the tree, more or less. 1%. You should go and taste. Huh? She has fantastic chocolate, by the way.
Anytime.
Yes.
And after that, it goes through multiple processes. So the pulp is taken out. It's fermented in different ways. It really depends on the farmer and what he wants to do, and then it's dried. From that point, I take the beans after they've been dried, and that's where my whole process begins.
Okay, I want to ask 1,000 questions on the chocolate, but it's not the purpose of this meeting.
It's not.
So we'll keep it for later. And I want to go to, because I love chocolate, you don't understand. I want to go to Youssef. Youssef, so we were speaking a bit about the packaging, or we didn't get a bit about the packaging, but when it comes to packaging, the Nile is full of trash, right? It's really, really full of trash. I remember one day we were organizing cleanup with Greenish, and we were cleaning up, and some people were throwing garbage on us. You remember, Iman? They were throwing garbage on us, not because of humiliating us or anything. It was just a show for them, so they were eating the chipsy and just throwing it by the bridge, right? So can you tell us a little bit about your experience of cleaning the Nile? And I think you were 22, just graduated from IUC when you started cleaning the Nile. You're still at IUC? So what drives a young guy instead of, there is so many subjects out there, what drives you to go and clean the Nile, to collect garbage instead of going to fancy places?
So I think it's like my first memory of me engaging with this topic goes as far back as just being like on the school bus when I would go to school from my house in Zamalek to my school in Sheikh Zayed. And I remember we would drive across the Mehwar, which had a very long canal way, it's gone now, it's now a highway. But I remember every time I crossed that bridge every single day, as far as the eye can see, you can see waste completely burying the canalway. And so,
which canal? The canal next to Sahara and the
it's gone now. لا, دلوقتي it's near. You know where the Bashtil station is?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a huge canalway.
Trash, huh?
Yeah, a long time ago. Now it's
they put cement on it, I guess, to hide it. Yeah, so they often.
But now it's completely covered.
Okay.
But so I remember, this at some point was a core memory, and I remember when I would react to it, I seemed to be the only person on the bus, which was a bus that had both students and teachers that would react to the scene. So I guess I realized very early on two things. Either many Egyptians were completely desensitized to the pervasiveness of the waste issue across our landfills and our streets, but specifically in our bodies of water, which we use in so many ways. So this is one option. The other option is that they just are overwhelmed by the sense of helplessness, because they see it, it's an existential problem, what are we going to do? And they just go about their day. So fast forward years later, it was the peak of COVID, it was June of 2020, so the country was completely locked down. And
you were still in AUC?
I was still at AUC, and then I met, that's when I met Salem, and I met a group of people, and through our discussion, we got to talking about this particular topic, and what immediately clicked was we both had a very good understanding of the why. We understood the importance of tackling the plastic pollution problem in the Nile. The issue that became the focal point of our discussion was how would we go about it, and under the how question came a lot of sub-questions. So the first and foremost question was, how can it be financially viable? And if you guys remember at the time, it was COVID. No one was giving money for anyone for anything unless they absolutely had to. It was just that kind of time. So if you had an idea that was innovative and driven by a certain cause, you had to come up with a way to make money. Otherwise, it will never get off the ground because no one will help you do it. So that became the first issue, the how do we make it financially viable? How do we also empower marginalized communities as a byproduct of our work? This was the second question we had to address. The third was, how do we get the government on board, which at that point they would laugh us out of their offices because they didn't even want to acknowledge that there was a pollution problem in the Nile River, and they found it offensive that we would even bring the topic up. So how do we get the government to go from where they were then to supporting us and taking that initiative under their umbrella and allowing us to use their platform? Which brings me to the fourth question, which was, how do we bring the question of plastic pollution problem and the waste problem into the mainstream? To get people excited about it, to talk about it, to stigmatize plastic pollution and do all of these things. So these all seemed like, at the time, very existential questions. But once we sat down and started actually creating quantifiable goals, short-term plans, long-term objectives, and taking it step by step, we were able to actually see something that was very impactful. So
thank you.
Yeah, it was a very
thank you very much, Youssef. Before going to Farida, I just invite Iman. Iman, do you want to make a small comment about cleaning the Nile, because she was a Nile hero, right? Like she was bringing all of the plastic bags and the gloves and the government as well.
Yeah. So cleaning the Nile was my very, very, very first job in Greenish. I work in Greenish since 2019, and I was responsible for the event as a whole event, the operation, how to clean it, locating the location, and contacting the right people at the right time. So it was a whole process, and people love to come to clean the Nile. They find the purpose. And this, I believe this started a movement in Egypt back then. We were like 15 people, and then we come thousands. Now we are millions, looking up for the Nile, and everyone now cares about it. So it started from 2 people walking beside the Nile and wanted to
like, oh my god, this is so horrible to have trash on the Nile path, to people who work on the Nile for the Nile. And now the Arabic community on Kusaya Island, so yeah, I love it.
I'm not sure we are million people cleaning the Nile. I think the Nile is still filled with trash, to be honest with you. But I think if we want to have millions of people that will clean the Nile, we need first to educate the people. And I wanted to ask you about what are you doing towards educating people? Like, what's your strategy? I think you're going into universities. Yes. You do some clubs, like Ahmed Magdy was speaking about video clubs, but you do green clubs. Like, what's the concept there behind it?
I just want to clarify first that we have two kinds of clubs. We have green clubs and greenish clubs.
So what's the difference?
That should tell you so much how obsessed we are.
You're all dressed in green and Palestine, right?
Yes.
You know, she's dressed like the flag of Palestine. That's beautiful.
So, yes, exactly. And actually, this is a huge part of greenish clubs and green clubs, actually. So yeah, about greenish clubs, it's mainly targeting students at higher education, whether it's universities, academies, or whatever, mainly higher education, while green clubs mainly focuses on students of vocational schools. Okay, so why are we really focusing on youth? Because basically we are a team of young people. Like all of Greenish team is basically young, let's say by age. At the same time, how I really perceive focusing on youth is not really about how we always put all the load on young individuals to create change or be change makers. The thing is that all generations should play their role. Because climate crisis is an intergenerational problem. It is not about youth or young or old people or whatever, but the reality is that young people couldn't really find other generations doing their parts, so they stood up to take on their roles and to fulfill it.
But do you speak about clubs like all over Egypt or?
Yes, that's basically on youth. About the clubs themselves, about Greenish clubs for higher education students, we mainly focus on two main pillars in our program.
But I think you're very like you go to Muhafaza, to governorate. Like
yes, exactly. Yes, we have around more than 17 Greenish clubs, around more than 15 governors around Egypt, from Delta to Upper Egypt, Red Sea, Sinai, everywhere.
This is really impressive. I think this is really fantastic work, and I really want to say it because you know when you're in Sinai or you're in some places that are a bit underprivileged, generally your first problem is not environment, and the fact that you manage to go in all of these places and have the youth being interested by the environment is a real success.
Yes, exactly. And the message, the general message we want to deliver, like the direct one, is mainly climate education. Young people will not really be able to work on something they don't understand, they don't relate to, and as Ahmed actually was saying about forcing perspectives and Western narratives on people from the global south, mainly young people of Egypt and overall MENA region, especially North Africa. So young individuals of Egypt need to understand first how the different crises under the umbrella of climate crisis, like waste management, like renewable energy, like biodiversity, etc., how actually are affecting them as young people from their local, because we are covering, as I was saying, we are covering like multiple locations across Egypt, so they need to know how this relates to their local narratives and to their local stories about their own communities, not others' communities, and be able also to echo the solidarity with other fellow and peers from similar communities, like young people from Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Sudan, Palestine, Syria, Yemen, everywhere. So yeah, that's basically it.
Bravo, Farida, that's fantastic. When we speak about education and storytelling and changing perception, I think that one industry that is extremely strong, of course we were speaking about cinema, but another industry that is maybe stronger than cinema is the industry of fashion, right, Clara? So can you tell us a little bit about how fashion can be used as a tool for storytelling when it comes to climate and environment?
keep in mind is that fashion doesn't exist as an entity of its own. It is a product of social, political, economical environment. So when you look at the history of fashion, even the short history of fashion, let me give you a couple of examples. In the 1940s, it was the wartime. So it was recession, right? So you couldn't use a lot of fabric. The silhouettes were very slim. And it was actually the invention of do-it-yourself, DIY, upcycling, because they had to use things that were readily available at home and things like that.
This was the tech mentality, the DIY. It was really the startup in the tech and so on, right?
Do it yourself, do it at home, upcycle your old napkins, anything you have lying around. So you can be able to use it in fashion.
Okay.
Then you have the 1950s, which is very much about abundance in fabric, abundance in embroidery, abundance in everything, because they were seeking joy. And then you fall back again in the 1970s. It's another post-war period where you have a lot of a hippie movement where they go back to nature because they are rejecting industrialism and they are rejecting the government. So they really want to wear natural fibers, and it's the invention of the tie-dye because they were using natural dyes as well. So fashion is a form of expression. It's a form of storytelling, no matter what you want to say from it. Also, what's really funny is that whether you like fashion or not, you're participating in it because you wake up every morning and you dress up.
That's true.
So you don't really have a choice. And what you do decide to wear makes a statement, you know? And if you decide to wear something that's environmentally friendly or conscious, that makes a statement. If you just say, I don't care about fashion, I'm just gonna wear, you know, whatever big Shein or whatever, you're also making a statement. So fashion is a form of storytelling in that way.
Thank you very much, Laura. And actually, we are very lucky today because we have Laura and Clara. They are two sisters, by the way. You see how lucky we are? So we'll go from one sister to the other. And I will ask about maybe so you're a brand, you're a new brand. I think I follow you on Instagram. You're very strong in marketing. You really promote well. You are doing some shark design chocolate. I was trying to get some. My question to you is, in order to cater to the public and to the customers, do you see that there is a general shift in patterns of consumptions? Do you think people are more sensitive about the plastics that are being used, about all the materials that you are being used, or do you think that people just don't care?
So that's funny. So actually, let me explain something. When I started Maison Choc, one of the first statements that I made as I was opening my store, because we have to look for packaging when you're doing any kind of food grade product, you have to have a box to put that product in. The first thing I said, it was my very, very strict statement. I was like, all of my packaging is going to be eco-friendly.
Ah, really? Bravo.
Yeah, joke was on me because the Egyptian consumer hates this. I was like, it's okay.
The Egyptian consumer hates this because there is a premium on the.
So as a bean to bar manufacturer, I get my product straight from the farmer. Okay. So I have a responsibility to also do my part to the environment. So if I start saying that I'm bean to bar manufacturer and then I put all of my product in plastic, then I am wasting the planet. And if my product ends up being more expensive, it's also my fault. So I have to take care of it. When I started doing my packaging, I decided to get all corrugated, recycled boxes. I wanted everything to be glass. I didn't want to use anything that was going to be plastic related. And then it was very simple, minimum amount of ink, very, very, very simple, but yet luxurious at the same time. My clients just...
Simplicity is very often luxury, actually.
But here in Egypt, people are looking to enter a place, especially when they buy chocolate, they're looking to enter a place and make a statement. And the packaging is the first way and the easiest way to make a statement. So, of course, I had a bit of an issue when I introduced my packaging and my product inside of it. I had a bit of an issue with my consumer because I had to explain the reasons why we do this, explain what my part in all of this is and why it's so important to me and why that's why I'm not going to start using over-plasticized packaging even if they request it. So it is very complicated. It's complex here in Egypt because even if you want to be sustainable as well, it's very difficult to find the premium and the sustainable ingredients, packaging or sources of products. So like as a person, like let's say for instance, I don't want to serve my product in plastic cups. I want to be able to use wooden straws. I want to be able to use recycled plastic cups. There's no such thing in Egypt. So I'm forced to use plastic cups at the end of the day. So as much as I can be ecologically friendly, I'm limited as well.
I can see Farida telling yes, it's true, right? Yes.
We have a very hard time. Even the recycled products are even like much more expensive than the overplasticized, like non-recycled, non-eco-friendly products.
That's complicated. Yes, Farida wants
to what actually Clara was saying is that's exactly why while educating young people about this, we need to mention how we as individuals, we do have our responsibilities, but at some point we will be stuck somehow because it is really about understanding the system of producing plastic waste and plastic products. And it is not really about recycling, it's not about just reusing, it's about actually addressing the source of plastic. Because as individuals, we will still have a very limited capacity at some point. So, because actually, Clara, while we are teaching our young people, during the second part of the program, we try to apply with them in 4 main tracks: research, entrepreneurship, and in entrepreneurship, we always address the logistics part when it comes to eco-friendly or environmental-friendly products. We are always stuck there with the budgeting, always. So I really understand and can relate to what Clara was saying. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I will go to Youssef now, and I will jump on Clara. She said that when people goes into her shop, it's because they are making a statement. I wanted to ask you, Youssef, how can we make a statement by cleaning the Nile? Like, how can you make it as a cool and trendy thing? How can you create a movement for which people want to be part of it, you know?
To be honest, I think what's a lot more effective than telling people how to be cool while cleaning the Nile is telling people how extremely uncool it is to be involved in polluting the Nile in the way that it is. Because while it's great to be reactive, I think the impact that you would have would be negligible compared to the impact that you would have if you really do change hearts and minds and get them to avoid starting the problem so that we don't have to clean it up afterwards. And the way that happens is we just have to be very unashamed to, even in the smallest changes of our behavior. So for example, you walk into a supermarket, you walk into a pharmacy, the guy hands you 2 items and starts bagging it up for you. You can just go, you know what, I'm fine, I can just carry this to my car or back home. And you realize the power that you have as the consumer, because once you vocalize that to the guy behind the cash register, eventually, I guarantee you that this will have a trickle effect up the value chain that will reach the CEO of some company somewhere, and that's when change will start to happen. So again, to piggyback off of what Clara was saying, you have so much power as the consumer to drive that change. And again, the power of social media that you have, we've all seen that there are some behaviors in our society that we were able to tackle by filming it when we see it in the street happening and talking about it in a way that sheds light on it. So if you see someone polluting, see someone harassing someone on the street, everyone now has a camera phone and they're able to publicize it, and eventually people will start to realize that if I partake in this activity, there are consequences. So for example, I remember one time we shared on our social media page a Nile boat that was tossing all of its trash into the Nile, and someone filmed it, someone from our team.
Luxor, I think it was.
I think so. And we published it online, and we had a huge reaction that the Minister of Irrigation had to get involved and ask the law enforcement to check the licensing of that boat, and just caused a headache for that boat. So now the boat knows that in the future, should it happen again, it's a headache that it doesn't need to go through. So we should be very active and very vocal about it and not be afraid, because your voice, no matter how small it may seem like it is to you, it will have an effect somewhere, especially if enough of us do it.
But how do you how do you motivate people to come? Because on a Saturday afternoon they can go to the cinema, they can go to the malls, they can go and eat some good chocolate, right? So, so you motivate them with chocolate. How can you do that? How do you motivate people to come and clean the Nile?
I mean, I think it's the social factor is a huge factor, because I remember when we started. Once we started with a very small group of volunteers, and we would go through the experience of having a whole day cleaning up the Nile and seeing people react with that experience and bringing their friends in the times after that and the times after that. And also, I think what's very effective is that there are stats that once you get them out there, they are very effective in shocking people into realizing how deep the problem is. So for example, I know one stat that we always used to speak about, and it's very widely shared, is that on average, a human being consumes a credit card worth of plastic every single week through microplastics in the food and through the water. So a stat like this, which I believe was published by the WWF, would shock someone enough into realizing that, okay, this is no longer an issue of environment, this is not an issue of public health, it's an issue of tourism, and it just has these tentacles that expand into all facets of our society and of our daily lives. So once we get these stats out there and have people realize the depth of the problem, I think then the reactions, like cleaning the Nile and volunteering and so on and so forth, will come naturally.
I'd be interested to see who in this room would be interested in volunteering cleaning the Nile. 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow, lots of people, right? Because Doha actually she wants to organize the Nile cleanup. So if you want to get in touch with her, it will be fantastic. Especially around the region of Dashur, which is completely fully. I think there is less trash there. No, I don't know. Anyway, Farida, how do you engage? Like, thank you, Youssef. It was very useful. But how do you engage communities on the long term? Like, how do you make it sure that it's not just a trend, that it's something that's going to continue and be ongoing?
Okay, how actually we plan to sustain? We clearly will never have a completely 100% assurance that something will be sustained. So we really focus on education. That's one thing, because we found that the model that Greenish is working with right now is mainly about a word called race. Research, advocacy, capacity building, and education. And that's exactly how we can make sure to sustain the impact for communities. So I'm going to be mainly talking about education within Greenish clubs. It is mainly about introducing the climate education to young individuals in a way that has no forcing of, again, narratives. That's really that's stuck with me since Magdy was talking about this, because I can really feel, because he was talking about it with very a deep tone, and that's how I feel actually about this. So I'm repeating this again about forcing the narrative. So when they get introduced to climate education, that they can create and figure out and discover their own stories and be able to connect their own stories with the holistic understanding of the climate crisis, and be able to also express the communities they are a part of, that makes them more sustaining, or they can sustain more of their work on the long term, whether it's going to be volunteering work, their careers or whatever. The topics we actually have educational manuals about, it's mainly covering most of topics like waste management, renewable energy, biodiversity, climate change, urbanism, nature-based solutions, public health, food, water, and agriculture. So we are covering all of the academic background that they might be part of, as well as their communities as well.
Thank you so much, Farida. We are running a bit of time. I will ask a last question to Laura before opening up to the audience. Laura, so my shoes are made completely of plastic marine litter, right, from Adidas. I don't know if you'll find it nice or not, but my question is, no, it's true. My question is because I've been to a lot of eco-friendly festivals, and like it's really the clothes are really not nice, right? So there is also this part of aesthetics that should be addressed when you address environment. So how can we be sure to address, the nexus of aesthetics and environmental friendly, so that people don't dress up just because it's environmental friendly, but because also it's beautiful?
Okay, so we don't need to really complicate things that much. It's there are different tiers of being environmentally friendly. Of course, your tier is the last tier, which is innovative materials and biomaterials, which is a field that's really growing today. I went to a fair, Première Vision, last year, and it's incredible to see all the materials that are, coming up, like shoes out of mushrooms and out of rocks and things like that. So
I love the cactus leather.
Cactus leather, that's been a few years of that. So the possibilities are really, truly endless. But if you want to be very simple, you can start by just wearing 100% of a single material, like cotton or linen or any of that sort. That's very simple. You can find it. Okay, it's not as easy to find as we would think, which is a kind of a problem, but it's still easier to find than those materials.
But where do you find some good Egyptian cotton? Because I heard that most of it is for exports, no? And cotton consumes lots of water. Like, how can you find a good cotton?
No, honestly, it is very difficult. In Egypt. You go to Switzerland, you can find it.
So you have to go to Switzerland to buy some Egyptian cotton.
It's true. It's true. Unfortunately, it's true. No, you have a lot of brands that are coming up in Egypt.
But what about local artisans?
Okay, so local artisans, I feel like they are finding a more important place today. And I think that comes a lot from people understanding the process. People are starting to see the process of making these local materials on TikTok or whatever. All the BTS is really important, and they can start to understand why these things are expensive, because they take a lot of time to make, a lot of hand labor and all these things. So I think that
this is really eco-friendly, right? You couldn't be more eco-friendly than by a local artisan, could you?
No, but you need to be very careful, because a lot of the things they tell you are local or not.
Okay.
And a lot of the materials that they sell today in Wikela or, any of that is coming from China. It's coming from Dubai. It's coming from... It's not coming from Egyptian factories. So you need to just really be careful with these types of greenwashing techniques.
Thank you very much. I still have 10,000 questions, but I would, for time's sake, it's now I'm opening up. Doha, please go ahead.
Hello, hi. I want to ask Clara, because I've been lucky attending the producing of cocoa in Equatorial Guinea, which is one of the best places, I guess, for producing the cocoa. But I've seen them burning a lot of coal while burning it. So while drying it. So I don't know what are the other sources that you can use to dry it, other than I see all the big places to produce cocoa across maybe Africa. I don't know, outside Africa, they burn a lot of coal.
By the way, you have the cocoa trees here on the screen. Go ahead.
So in general, in terms of the drying stage, there are different ways of drying the cocoa beans. I don't know if when you went there, was it a rainy season, out of curiosity? Yeah. So when it's rainy season, usually the cocoa beans are dried onto drying racks outside in the sun. But when it's rainy seasons, you don't want the cocoa bean to get soaked, because otherwise it inserts moisture inside of it. So what they're going to do is they're going to heat it up and dry it with coal. In Indonesia, they dry it on the fire, so it also has a bit of a smoky flavor. So it really depends when you go and what time of what kind of weather is at this time, and that will affect what they do for drying.
So, gentleman, Ahmed Nabil.
Hello. I just also want to highlight the challenge that was mentioned by Clara. Actually, the problem with being aware of a cause and doing something else. Like, you want to make good chocolate, but you're also an environmental activist. And then at a certain point, trying to maintain a nice packaging with the least amount of environmental pollution would end up making you stopping actually your manufacturing of good chocolate. And that's problematic. So I wonder how to address this. I mean, what is the right priority for you? Are you going to continue making nice, good chocolate, even under the circumstances of using probably more plastic or not? And does it help being actually an activist in a way when you are trying to maintain a nice business and actually working on your own passion?
So it is definitely difficult. I'm not gonna lie. When your clients, they come in and they're like, we want something bigger, we want something that's like more luxurious with plastic and stuff like that. It's very difficult to say no to them. But I really try to take my time explaining to my team inside my store and to explain my customers why we do this and why it's very, very important to us. And that's why even if we try to address their demands, so create a more high-end packaging, we really still try to do it with a minimum amount of plastic possible. We still try to be as environmentally friendly as we can be, considering here in Egypt, it is extremely difficult to be environmentally friendly. Yani, in general, like I use corrugated boxes, so those are recycled boxes. They're way more expensive than normal boxes, way more. And they're very difficult to find and really good quality. And then on top of that, your clients don't like them, but you still go for it. But there are other solutions. And I recycle my corrugated boxes, not in the sense where like the boxes that I've used, I use them again. But instead of having 6 different types of packaging, okay, for each and every product, I use the same packaging to showcase 6 different products, for instance. So this is a way where I don't have to overly produce as well. Packaging, everything is quite the same, but at the same time, it also has the same signature. We change with a different sticker, and that's all right for us. So we try to do our best, but it's difficult, I agree.
Is there a last question? Yes, the lady out there, it's going to be one of the last questions. It's already 8:02 p.m.
Hi, thank you so much for this great panel. My question is for Farida. I just need to ask you more about how do you see the challenges for youth, especially who is interested in environment and especially educational environment, how you like dealing with this kind of challenges, especially when some students come to you and telling you like maybe people are not interested in environment, maybe people are not know our local narrative and how we are working on this. So just need to listen how you are dealing with this kind of challenges. Thank you.
Yes, one of the main challenges, as you mentioned, Rhonda, is mainly about students asking us what to do when most of the public are not really that interested. And that's exactly why we always focus on 4 main things, which are dismantling, learning, unlearning, then relearning, and differentiate. That's because they need to understand that people are not really interested. Why? They need to understand why they are not interested. It's because environment and climate has always been a niche discussion. It's always has been a niche crisis that people are most affected and the most vulnerable are not included, whether in discussion, education, or anything. They would be experiencing the horrific implications of climate crisis, but they are not really aware of how to name this, or if there's even something that is abnormal. Some of them, like local communities, like fishermen in the Red Sea, yes, they are very aware of that there is some changes. There are very not abnormal, like abnormal changes, but for so long they have not been able to name this, to describe this. So we always make students or advise students to dismantle and just break things into like multiple parts to understand why people are behaving certain way, like with the plastic waste, with everything. Understand like behaviors that harm the environment have sources and have roots, and we need to understand more why these roots are there in the first place. So it is mainly about dismantling, greenwashing,
exactly everything. I was so happy that Laura mentioned about this, talked about this. Dismantling the different systems, like different concepts, unlearning the things that are not really related to our local narratives, and relearning what our ancestors have been going through and our current local communities are experiencing, and being able to differentiate between solidarity and our own narratives. So yeah, thank you so much, Randa. This is a really good question.
Thank you very much. I think we're done here. No more questions? No more questions. Thank you very much for attending this panel. Thank you for coming. Once again, it's a volunteer-based organization. We are just here because we believe in what we do, and it's not always easy to speak about climate change, and we are really grateful for you for coming tonight. Thank you.